Hello, 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 hello. Episode number 249 of This Week in WordPress. Good welcome. That's not a phrase, is it? But it'll do. Good welcome to you all. It's Monday, it's 2 p.m. Therefore, it's time for This Week in WordPress. Just on reflection, what a stupid time this was to organize this show. Like, it's the first thing on Monday morning for most people in North America. But I appreciate everybody who shows up, really appreciate it. We've got Marcus joining us from that part of the world, but we've got Bob and Andrew joining us from Europe. Bob from Europe. Yay. Let's go around one at a time and introduce them. Let's start with Bob. Hi, Bob. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Good.
Yeah. Bob is the connector over at Do the Woo. If you haven't heard his podcast over there, Marcus is part of that as well. But Do the Woo is a community for WooCommerce builders. We got quite a bit to talk about in the WooCommerce space this week. He's also working with some Brit podcast. I didn't read your intro, and now I just suddenly realised he's working with some Brit podcasts on a new podcast coming this year called WP Office Hours. Let's see if that happens, Bob, shall we? If you see him wandering around aimlessly at WordCamp Asia, you see this is old. WordCamp Europe, please guide him to the lost and found. Anyway, it's lovely to have you.
Yeah, and I did change that, but it must have not got changed. Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. That's
I've
okay.
Probably overwritten it.
Yeah.
But how's it in Porto? You enjoying the move?
Oh yeah, great. No regrets. Doing good. Good. Great. Glad to be on this side of the pond. And actually, yay. I had added that on my intro that I am happy to be in a zone that doesn't have me waking up at the crack of dawn to be on this thing. So that is an advantage.
If there was one thing which you moved for, clearly it was that. We're also joined by Andrew Palmer. Hello, Andrew.
Hello. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. You can see from Andrew's little logo underneath next to his name. He's from Bertha AI. Andrew is the CEO and co-founder of Bertha AI. I understand how difficult it is for business owners to build a successful website. That's why I'm dedicated. This is all in the first person. Is it as if it's Bertha speaking? Yeah, that's why I'm dedicated to helping people. Oh, no, it isn't. It isn't in that. It's just you saying it, right? Yeah, that's why I'm dedicated to helping people get their businesses online quickly and cost effectively with the use of WordPress templates, layout, and pre-designed themes, as well as AI technology. By doing this, you can focus more on running your business in order to create a life that you deserve, one that will provide peace and security for yourself and your family. My goodness, Andrew, the AI news never stops. The avalanche began sometime late last year, and honestly, that's 50% of everything I consume at the moment. So we'll get into the meat and the bones of that.
It's big, but do you want to tell people what you wrote in my profile before I put a new profile?
No, I've forgotten. What did I write?
You wrote "Can't stand Mark."
I did not. Did I say that, or did you say that? Listen, just so that we're very clear, if that's what I said, then that is approved by Mark Westgard. I hope he's watching. We just put a silly thing on the screen about Mark Westgard.
He's got just a caveat there. He is literally one of my best friends.
Oh,
I've got 3, and he's literally one.
And he's two of them. Well, anyway, lovely to have you on, Andrew. We will get thick into the conversation about AI later, I'm sure. But also joined by Marcus Burnette. Hello, Marcus.
Hello. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Marcus, as you can see by his name, is from GoDaddy. Marcus is a field marketer for GoDaddy. He's an amateur photographer and team co-rep for the WordPress photo directory. He is also, as we mentioned already, a Do the Woo podcast co-host. He loves long walks in the woods. As part of the GoDaddy Pro events and community team, Marcus is passionate about connecting agencies and freelancers with the tools they need to build successful sites for their clients. Can I go back to the walking in the woods thing?
Sure.
I love that. I do that probably 4 times a week. We have a forest just there, basically. Through that window, go, 600 yards, and there's a forest there. And it is my way to kind of rebalance when things are sort of stressing me out. It's great, isn't it?
You have to get outside. We're cooped up in this. I mean, it almost looks like a cell. It's a nicely decorated cell behind me, but it's kind of like a cell. You've got to get out.
Okay, and that's the end of This Week in WordPress for this week. We're
time for a walk.
We're going to go. Yeah, we're all going to go and have a walk. But yeah, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate anybody who makes the effort to come here. If you are watching this and you feel like sharing it, please do. wpbuilds.com/live is the best URL to send people to. once more, wpbuilds.com/live. If you go there, you've got to have the old Facebook. No, it's not. It's YouTube. So you need a Google account to comment there, but that's where most people seem to end up. If by some chance you're in our Facebook group or something like that, you might need to go to this URL, chat.restream.io/FB. Otherwise, we don't know who you are. But yeah, please share the podcast. It's very nice to have more comment. Oh, crikey. It's very nice to have commentary. And there's quite a few comments here. We've got comments saying basically hello from Maya from GoDaddy as well. And from Courtney from GoDaddy. Yeah, GoDaddy in the house. Check them out. We've also got Mike Johnston. Hello, Mike. He says hello from Lisbon, not far from you, Bob. We've got Rob Cairns, who always joins us. I appreciate your participation, Rob. That's really nice. And Courtney's making nice commentary about your hat. I've not seen you in a hat, Bob. I've seen you.
It's the European way, I guess. No, I don't know. It just felt like something to wear today.
It's normally got a trilby.
Yeah, is that what it is? It's a trilby. I didn't want to say the word. Yeah. And as always, Peter Ingersoll drops in and gives us a weather report from Connecticut. It's 9 degrees, 48 degrees Fahrenheit. The garden is getting planted this week. Nice. Keep us updated. Right. Okay. Let's get on with the WordPressy stuff. Thank you for joining us. Keep the comments coming. It makes for an interesting show. First things first, this is us, wpbuilds.com. This is our website. You can see that in the near future, I've got a UI and UX show with Pete Chineri. That's going to be happening on the 9th of May. If you fancy dropping us a line about a website that you're building, Pete will go over it with a fine-tooth comb from a UIX standpoint and give you some helpful tips and tricks. You can do that by clicking this button, fill out the form, and then we will know what your website is. I also would like to mention GoDaddy Pro for their support of the WP Builds podcast. They've been doing it for a very, very long time, and I appreciate it very much. Keeps the lights on over here. Right, let's get into the WordPress news for this week. First up, WordPress Accessibility Day 2023. Essentially, this is me saying stick it in the diary. September the 27th to the 28th. I think I'm right in saying that it looks like it spans 2 days there, but it says here underneath, it says it's a 24-hour global event. So maybe it kind of crosses the time zone there. But it's dedicated to promoting and learning website accessibility with best practices from WordPress for WordPress websites. This is all about getting your name on the email list so that they can give you updates as the time comes. So it is 2023.wpaccessibility.day. That's kind of a nice URL. 2023.wpaccessibility.day. Go and get yourself on the list. And, the important cause of accessibility, you will probably learn a great deal in that one event. I don't know if any of you three have got anything to add to that. If not, we will move on.
I think it's good. It's good. Sorry to butt in straight away, but I think we need to talk about this more. But more than that, we need to do something about it, because it's, if you go through even websites we build, we try and build them accessibility in mind and all that kind of stuff. But actually, we've got to start thinking about accessibility first, because it's becoming very important to do all the things in WordPress right. Inclusion, accessibility, everything, because there are some people out there that really kick us up the bum to get it right. So we just got to do our best to get it right. And accessibility is so important. I know some people, we had a little Facebook group session with a blind person literally a few weeks ago. It was so enlightening. I can't even begin to tell you. Honestly, the first thing I say to customers now is let's think about accessibility. Get rid of your sliders, get your alt text right, get your tabbing right, get everything right, and stop being so creative, because it's the most creative websites that really suffer from accessibility issues.
Yeah, so the brochure ones
still have creativity in it, but get away from your images that don't have descriptions, get away from your pastel colors where you can hardly see the text. Make sure everything is right. It's a tough one, but I really believe in it. It's really got to be right. So it's the first thing I talk about.
Well, thank you, Andrew. Bob,
And also Pitchier bashing my head with a sledgehammer.
Yes, well, that's also
in Asia didn't really help
always,
me. I got a lump in my head.
Always going to work that. Yeah, the sledgehammer approach. Very good.
Yeah.
Keep it up, Pitchier. Bob, Marcus, anything?
No, pretty much echo what Andrew said. Okay. It's I don't know how many sites I go to that I can't read very well, or or they put the actual text in such small. I mean, those days are over. I remember those days in print, but that's something's got to be done. So
yeah, last year's was really good. It feels like a lot of information coming at you at once over the course of a 24-hour period, but if you can soak even a little bit of it up, you'll benefit for it. Your customers, site visitors will all benefit from it. So hop in, hop out as you can, and pick up as much as you can, and just do what you can to make everything that you do a bit more accessible.
I'd like to just point out that there's a couple of bits towards the bottom of the page that I just mentioned, where obviously to make these events run, there is a need for investment at some point. That could be investment in terms of time. So if you would like to volunteer, if you head to the bottom of that page, there is something about that, and you can click the Learn More link and presumably get yourself on the team that are organising that event. Don't underestimate how difficult these things are to put on. Typically they look easy when you join these kind of events, but there's a lot of toing and froing in the background, making those kind of things happen. But also, if you feel that you could contribute to make the event happen from a financial point of view, there is a sponsor option as well. So, both sides of that coin, volunteering and sponsorship, are very important. Go and check that out at the bottom of the page, 2023.wpaccessibility.day. I'd just like to point out that I now consider myself in some respects in need of accessibility, because even with these things on, so I'm holding up my glasses, I am really struggling over the last 6 months to see things on my phone, on my desktop. I've got on a lot of websites I'm just clicking enlarge, so I'm doing that in the browser. I'm just clicking the make it bigger so the whole UI grows. But on my phone, it's kind of comedy. My children relentlessly take the mickey out of me when they see what I'm reading. And I can fit about 8 lines of text from the top to the bottom of my mobile phone. It is properly massive.
They can see what you're reading too across the room.
Oh, from like 100 yards away. Yeah, it's one of those tests that you get at the opticians. Can you read your dad's phone? Yeah, it's easy. But I really do appreciate it when I've got the option to toggle the text size up, text size down, but also that whole pinch to zoom thing. When you pinch a site and all that you do is zoom in on a bit rather than pinching it, and then the text sort of expands to fill what was the previous viewport. So yeah, that's my take on it. There was quite a lot of nodding there from.
Yeah, I've had people grab my phone and say the same
Bob
thing.
And I are getting on.
Yeah. People grab my phone and say, "What is this? What are you blind?" And I'm like.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if there's any sort of app that I can demonstrate where there probably isn't, to be honest.
There are things, but I had to read my driving license today because I've been done for speeding, which is really annoying because I don't speed, and I just did this one particular day, and I had to read this tiny. It's literally 5-point text on the bottom of my license that gives a particular reference. I had to get a magnifier.
Yeah. I've got an app that actually magnifies things on my iPhone. I mean, because I've been reading. Not only are they small, the stuff like directions on cooking packages here, then I'm trying to use Google Translate at the same time.
Yes.
So I'm just having a great time. I'm just like banging my head against the wall, walking in circles. I'm lost,
There's the sort of level that I'm at. So that's a fairly short message, probably about 12 words, and it occupies almost half the screen. That's my reply, which says hi. And then there's another 4-word reply, and that's all I can fit on the screen. It's about 25 words. Something like that. And you are right, Bob. I know it's in the real world and it's got nothing to do with WordPress. I literally cannot read the packaging on anything anymore. I don't know if there's a new fad here, but But the font sizes, what they've tried to do is reduce it so that they can have more picture of the product. Let's say, I don't know, you bought something that needs to be heated up in a certain way. They've got more picture of what the product looks like. And then this tiny little box, which I have to, this is so sad, I have to photograph it and then zoom in on the photo on my phone. Look at Andrew, he's having a right laugh.
And you'd think they would, like, I have a debit card, the number on the front, half of them, because of the different colors of their logo, half of the letters disappear. So I have to get out my thing, enlarge it, light it up so I can actually read my credit card number. So
we've got to rename this episode. It's going to be called The Old Fogies or something like that. But yeah, so, okay, this is the tiniest bit of the iceberg, isn't it? You know, not being able to see things very clearly. But what if you can't see things because of the color contrast, or you can't see things because you cannot see things? And as Andrew was saying, you've got to use some sort of assistive technology. The web is like the most crucial thing. It's replaced everything for information finding.
You can't do your electricity bills, your gas bills, your phone bills, your council tax, your poll tax, whatever you care to call it, or local taxes. Everything is online. So I don't know how people are coping. You know, we've got a lovely man, David Brown, who has got, and he won't mind me talking about this, he's got cerebral palsy. So like, he's not yet at the stage of bashing a keyboard randomly because he can't control his arms. He's not far away from that, but he's a web developer, and currently he's not using any tools, but he's telling us that, soon he will start needing tools like being able to speak directly into AI, for instance, for instructions, being able to speak directly into WordPress to be able to write the content in WordPress, or speaking to AI and then say, okay, insert into this or whatever. So there's some accessibility things for people with physical disabilities as well. If you're looking at quadriplegics or paraplegics or tetraplegics or whatever, they still have 100% active brains. They just can't move their body in the way that we can, or an able-bodied person can. So they need accessibility tools as well, and that's mainly in their own home. But if we can make websites work better with the accessibility tools that are there and coming out as well, there's some fantastic ones coming out, then we've done our job right. It's as simple as that.
I think you make a really good point about the fact that almost everything has gone online. So the bare necessities of life, like banking, paying your taxes, shopping, all these things are now largely done on the internet. I actually walked in our local town centre for the first time in a long time recently. I was quite surprised by how much had shut down, boarded up and given up trade. And I'm imagining that the internet has taken over a large proportion of that. But if those basic things that need to be achieved are now being done online, and there's a proportion of people who can't access those, that just seems, criminal, essentially. So you can learn this stuff yourself the hard way, or you can attend events like WP Accessibility Day, where in one day you can probably get a whole boatload of knowledge. So once again, hat tip to them, 27th to the 28th of September this year. And a shout out to the board. I know there'll be more people involved, but Amber Hines, Bet Hannon, and Joe Dolson. Maya in the comments says, try reading any medicine. Oh, just forget it, Maya. I'm not even going to try. That one's being handed to my children, who then
just take whatever you want.
Yeah, then they quadruple the dosage. Yeah. QR code on the back of that. Look at that. And
those are my pain meds for my back, and I just don't. I know what they do, but I don't know what if you open up the contraindications thing, it's this long.
Yeah.
And it's in 4 or 5 point, and you're going.
Yeah, it's literally font size 1, isn't it? It's crazy. Maya's like me though. Photo, zoom, regular procedure. Yeah, that's what I have to do now to read almost. Sad, isn't it? Font size matters as we get older. It surely does. Yeah. Thank you, Maya. That's absolutely fine. She says, real problems you're tackling. Love the conversation so far. You're welcome. We're not going to stay on accessibility, though. We're going to move forward. Mentioned last week that there is a book. This is such a curious little project. I really like this. there's a book which came out more than a decade ago. I think it's more than a decade ago, called Milestones. And it charted the first decade of WordPress. And I don't know who wrote it, whether it was an individual or a collective of people, but it very much sounded like it had come out of the pen of one individual. Different approach, perhaps this time. The book is being written on GitHub. And if you want to contribute information about the last 10 years of WordPress, which kind of more or less overlaps with my time in the WordPress community, well, they want your help. Obviously, they want the whole thing to be cohesive. And so there are some sort of style guides. So, for example, there's an article on the page that I'm looking at now. I will link to this in the show notes for tomorrow, but it's on make.wordpress.org. The piece is called Building Blocks, The Evolution of WordPress 2013 to 2023 by Jonathan Pantani. And there's guidance about the voice and the tone that you should use if you want to contribute to it. You can link to the repo on GitHub where all of the chapters are laid out already. Most of what's been written is there. And you can log any issues or what have you. So if you are feeling like a WordPress historian and you want to get stuck into that project, unlike anything else, I think, really different project, then yeah, I'll link to that in the show notes tomorrow. But you can see it there, wordpress.org. The article was produced on the 13th of April. Anybody want to contribute on that one?
Well, I've just sent you a private note.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Because I asked Bertha, and there you go.
So your AI there says that it was not written by a single individual, but rather by collective effort in the WordPress community. These milestones represent. Okay, yeah, I won't read the rest of it, but yeah, okay. So it was written by a collective. What a lovely idea, though. So if you're into writing and you want to help chart the history of the last 10 years of WordPress, I've got my WordPress swag on. I've got my 20th anniversary T-shirt. You can see that they're really nice. It's just that same little logo that you've got there. Got a nice black one. Very cool. Marcus, Bob, anything on that, or shall we move on?
Sounds like some light reading for poolside.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. What are you reading there, Dad? History of WordPress over the last 10 years. Oh, right. Moving on. Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. This is sad news. Well, I say sad. I think it's sad, but at the same time, I think it's, for the individual involved, it's probably just the tonic they needed. Marika van der Act, who's been really instrumental in the growth of Yoast, the company, Yoast, the product, the community, the learning materials they've put out. She has decided finally that she's going to step away from Yoast on a permanent basis. And I'll just quote the first paragraph here, or a bit of it. It says, "It is with mixed feelings that we say goodbye to Marika van der Act, who has decided to leave Yoast. Everyone at Newfold Digital, which bought Yoast in 2021, I believe, and Yoast will miss her dearly. We want to say thank you to her for all the wonderful things she has done over the years. She played a pivotal role in shaping the company's vision, growth, and success." I mean, Yoast is truly one of those that there aren't many. Maybe Elementor and a couple of others who really can claim to have the numbers that Yoast do. And Marika, obviously Yoast himself, have been pivotal in that. They've got a fantastic team. They've grown an academy. They've championed all sorts of initiatives in terms of equal pay and representation for underrepresented initiatives. They've sent people to all sorts of events. Their brand is, I would say, second to none in the WordPress space. I can't see that purple without thinking of Yoast. And if there's a little bit of green in there, then I know it's Yoast. When they show up to WordCamp events, they just somehow stand out. They've got an amazing, amazing history. And so she's moving on. And in a moment, we'll talk about what her and her husband Yoast are going to do, which is also equally interesting. But sort of with a tear in my eye, I guess thank you to Marika for her contributions at Yoast. So open floor. Anybody want to hop in?
Well, I do. Mm-hmm. But I want other people to hop in as well. But I want to say a special thanks to Marika and Yoast himself and the Yoast team. I know them all really well. And we worked together with Bertha. They rebranded Bertha for nothing. We did a joint venture for them. They helped us with some marketing stuff. We did a marketing venture with them. They could not be they are just the nicest people in the world. I spent a lot of time with Yoast at at Cloudfest, drinking coffee, having a few beers. Bob knows what the situation was. Just friendly people. A lot of Yoast representation at Cloudfest and WordCamp Asia as well. They pay when people need to do something. They need to go to a WordCamp or they need to go to YoastCon, which is actually in May. They pay their flights and their hotels. It's just, they're just amazing people. So when I saw that, I literally had tears in my eyes that Marika's no longer going to be, Yoast and Marika are no longer going to be there. But also I'm aware of the people that are there, the CEO, COO, and also we had the news that Tees left as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough job being a CEO of a company with 13 million users, customers and 120 or 130 staff. And also, going into the corporate world of Newfold, which are $1 billion, whatever company, it's tough. So I think the transition has been good for them. They're still kind and loving people, and they still give like you can't believe, like GoDaddy Pro do. GoDaddy gives a lot to the community, which is probably unseen, with or unnoticed. Unfairly unnoticed by the sponsorships of all the WordCamps they do, by sponsorships of people that are actually working in WordPress. And I think the fact that Yoast have made money from the WordPress community and they throw it back in spades is what WordPress is all about. So congratulations to them. I wish them so much good luck with the investment company Amelia. They've invested in a couple of companies we all know, Extendify, Atarim, and a lot more than that. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but they invest quickly as well. And what they're going to be doing at WordCamps in the future is amazing. So yeah, congratulations to them for what they've done, and really good wishes for them for what they're going to do with Amelia. It's going to be great.
We'll talk about Amelia in a moment, but Bob or Marcus, I don't know if either of you wanted to put a personal comment in there.
Yeah, I think Andrew, yeah, pretty much the same. I think they're probably some of the people I met first in the space, around 2009, 2010, and they supported me with a lot of different things over the years and stuff. I remember way back, I did a workshop on Yoast in Seattle. They sponsored that. And yeah, they've just been like one of those mainstays, and there's the whole team is amazing, but it's exciting to see what they'll do too, because I think we all saw what they've done so far, and it's going to be really, really cool to see. And you're going to be talking about some of that. And I know they've already, talked about that they'll be staying in the WordPress space. They're not kind of leaving the space. They're just looking for new ventures and stuff. And and their heart's into helping people and into diversity and stuff. And there's a lot of opportunity out there. And I think they're going to do some really amazing stuff.
Marcus, anything from you?
Yeah, I agree. I guess, unfortunately, know Marika or anyone else at Yoast kind of secondhand, but, from everything that I've heard about the things that they've done and things that I've read, I don't think that the WordPress space would be the same now without them. And so, although I don't know them personally, I've been around a number of, CEOs leaving and going on to do other things. And I think while it is kind of, sad in the moment, and probably for those that work with them day to day at Yoast, it kind of opens up opportunity for them to do some really great stuff, and not necessarily be kind of limited in the direction that they want to go with the things that they've done at Yoast so far.
Every year when WordPress.org put out their contributor graph, there's always this like bubble diagram which comes out, and there's always the giant automatic bubble. What they're showing is the number of hours or people that have contributed to core, and there's always the massive automatic bubble. And I don't suppose that demographic will ever change. They'll always come in number one, I'm sure. But basically, since records began, as far as I can work out, number two by a long way is always Yoast. I think over the years they've had their heart in the right place. They don't just show up to the flagship events either, do they? On some of the smaller ones, they still show up and send some of their key staff into all parts of the globe. So they've contributed in all sorts of ways. I've managed to find out the companies that they have recently worked with. I say I've managed to find it out. Atarim, Equalize Digital, Extendify, Castos, and Stratic. They've also helped all of those fine people. And that leads us perfectly on to the next thing, which is what they're going to be doing next. You may not have heard of this before, because although it's WordPressy, it's not, it's not a plugin, it's not a theme, it's not really even a product. Their thing is called Emilia. It's not Amelia, it's Emilia. And the name of the domain will kind of give the game away. It's called Emilia.capital. And what they're essentially doing, I think this is so interesting. They're going to become like a venture capital firm to try and get products, I guess, in the WordPress space primarily, but I don't know if that's the boundary of what they're going to do. Maybe it's tech in general. Just to give people a helping hand. So in order to do that, what they've done, and again, I've not heard of this happening before, they've got themselves a sponsorship booth at WordCamp Europe. And in that sponsorship booth, they're not promoting a product, they're using it as a place where you can go and pitch them. So what you need to do if you want to do that, you have to apply for a 20-minute slot in which 10 minutes you can give them your elevator pitch of why you would like to receive some help, financial help, and maybe it's more than financial help. Maybe they'll give you some tips and advice, and maybe they'll get stuck into the thing as well. I don't really know, but they'll give you 10 minutes in which you can pitch. After that, immediately follows a 10-minute Q&A where they will quiz you about whatever it is that they want to quiz you about. And at the end of that, they'll give you a yes, let's take this conversation beyond WordCamp Europe, let's keep talking, or a simple no. So in 20 minutes, you'll have your answer, which is pretty remarkable. It's all happening at WordCamp Europe. You need to be going to this website if this catches your attention. It's called Emilia.capital/sponsor WordCamp Europe 2023, all hyphenated. Links will be in the show notes tomorrow. But the post is called Pitch Us Your Idea at WordCamp Europe 2023. It was posted by Yoast on the 17th. So yeah, really, really interesting. And I'm guessing that, in particular, Andrew, I know that as a sort of serial plugin entrepreneur, does this kind of idea, is this of interest to you? Would have this been something you'd have been interested in?
No. I had a really long conversation with Yoast. It took 2 hours. We sat and had coffee and drinks and whatever. Just me and him. It was awesome in CloudFest. And he said, "Are you looking for investment?" I said, "Well, I don't know. I don't know what I do with it. And also, I'm horrible to work with because I'm just horrible because I like to do what I like to do." But having said that, the point is with Yoast and Marika involved, they only ever give advice, right? So they give the great advice, and 10 years building up a plugin that they did, which was free. There's a great podcast with him on with a guy that I can't remember, but he's a VC guy, where Yoast takes you through the basic growth of it, and he basically built Yoast SEO or WP SEO as a free plugin, and he didn't know how to. And Marika said, "Listen, this is taking up too much of your time. You've got 1 million users. You got to monetize it." So he added the YouTube SEO bit as a premium, launched it, and he said, if I make 100 grand a year from this, I can stop doing what I'm doing, which is more than that, but I can still justify it. And he made 100 grand in the first week. Oh, this works, so that's so somebody to advise you on that. And we've had some major success. With Bertha, we made quite a lot of money in the first weekend with a few LTD deals, and other plugins that I've done. One plugin guy, it took me 18 months to get him onto Elegant Marketplace. He's told a $7 plugin, he made 30 grand in a weekend. So there's possibilities that you can make a lot of money very quickly for a very low price. So. And the great thing about having Yoast involved and Marika involved is that Marika is a phenomenal marketer, right? So she's a great copywriter, she's a great marketer. And also with Yoast, he can literally look at your code and go, "Nah, I don't want to buy you," or "Yeah, I want to buy you," or "I want to invest in you." I don't think they're looking to completely acquire. I think they're looking to give money, which is great because that gives you stability as a company. But the best thing is that they are the dragons of WordPress. You know, if they've had this massive success with what they're doing, they can advise you on how to market. And also, not only, but also, they're two of the largest influencers in the WordPress space. So if they say that they've invested in your plugin, that's gonna be the little hook on the end of the line with no worm. People will be hooked in. They go, if Yoast or Amelia have invested in this, I got to have a look at it, and there'll be growth opportunities there. So I love the idea, but I've never looked for investment, so I don't know how I would even pitch. You know, so it's just.
I've got a couple of quid lying about, Andrew. If
I'll give you some money, then I might talk about it, but I wouldn't even know how to pitch because.
He'd just show up with a couple beers and say, "Let's
That's
talk,"
right.
You know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Would you like to run my company with me?
Exactly.
But what they've said is that essentially, if you want to get one of those 20-minute slots, you've got to fill out a form on the website. That will then they will notify you by the 17th of May. That form closes on the 11th of May. So you've got like a couple of weeks if you want to receive some of this money. So yeah, I just think it's a cool idea. Never seen anybody doing that before, and sort of spinning the whole sponsorship booth notion around is quite interesting. Normally,
bringing some commerciability to WordPress.
Well, it's kind of interesting that normally at the sponsor booths they're trying to drag people towards them. This one, it's like, no, 2 at a time. Just get in the queue. It's not your turn to be at the sponsor booth. You come back in 20 minutes. That'd be interesting. Marcus, anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me a little bit of a far less intense Shark Tank, right? And with the same benefits, because it's the two pieces to it. Of course, there's the money part, and I think if you're maybe newly in the space or trying to figure out what to do, you want to become a WordPress plugin entrepreneur. You start to build something, you don't know really where to turn after that. Okay, I built this thing, now what? Well, this gives them an opportunity to say, hey, come here, come talk to us, and we'll figure this out together. If you need money, we've got some money to give you. But also, like I said, the two parts, the advice part, I don't know if there are many others that are as well equipped to give advice about how to grow a WordPress plugin or a WordPress business in this space. And so I think there's, the multiple benefits there, and the fact that, they're when they invest, like anything on Shark Tank, right? They then put their name behind it, like Andrew said, that will hold some weight as well, and get your plugin off the ground all the faster.
Well, I bet Bob can nod at this one. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm fairly sure. Bob, how many times have you been approached by people who've got a plugin and want to come on your podcast, but they can't market it? They just don't have the bandwidth for that.
No, yeah.
And a lot, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting because, I mean, how many people go to WordCamps hoping to make that connection?
Yeah.
And they're just kind of taking it to the forefront and saying, hey, that's what we're here for. That's what we're doing. We're creating a booth. And I think it adds a little bit of, I don't know, real world flavor to WordCamps. It's like, they're doing this thing over there that maybe other conferences have done in other ways, where we don't want a whole bunch of people pitching and a whole bunch of booths there doing that. But on the other hand, it just adds a different level to WordCamps. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you don't have to sit there and stand way back and think, oh, I'd like to talk to them about this. They're giving you the opportunity to actually pre-pitch them and then, set up a time and seriously talk.
So from one, sad bit of news that Marika's leaving to nice bit of news that she's kind of not. It's a bit of a pivot, really. So they'll be there. Links in the show notes tomorrow. All right. And you can see what's going on. Okay. This is probably the biggest piece for this week. This will probably consume the most amount of time. That is, and this is right up Bob's street. Probably Marcus has got something to say about this as well. I sourced this on the WP Tavern. Sarah Gooding wrote a piece about WooCommerce launches Woo Express. I'm going to summarize ever so quickly. You can now get a pre-hosted WordPress install with WooCommerce attached to it. Not only that, you can access a whole bunch of the many hundreds of plugins. They come in bundles, and the price point is pretty cheap at the moment. Now, I know that GoDaddy have got their managed WooCommerce stores, and I believe other rivals like Bluehost and things like that have also got these kind of things. But now WooCommerce via, I guess this is being funded through Automatic, are now stepping into this space. The obvious things that people are going to talk about are, number one, is it a good product? What kind of things do you get for your money? How much does it cost? And so on and so forth. But then there's also going to be that, isn't this treading on the toes of people who've already been into this space and kind of launched these products? Indeed, is it cannibalizing their own offerings? Just because Pressable does things like this, is it going to be doing all of that kind of stuff? So to me, this is a significant development. It's available for, I'm trusting that these screenshots are correct. It says $40 a month or $25 a month if you bill it annually. That's for the what they're calling the essential plan. And then if you go for the performance plan, and I stress I don't know what the difference is, it's $70 a month or $45 if you bill it annually. We could get into the bundles and all of that as well. But first impressions, Bob, you're the WooCommerce person.
Yeah. Well, I think before anybody really, whether you agree or disagree with it or however you feel, I'm going to give a plug. I would say go and listen to Bo Liebens. He's a head of engineer at Woo, and he did a podcast with us. And Jonathan Wold was the host. And Jonathan really, I don't want to say he nailed him, but he asked him about the hosting. Is this stepping on? Or you feel like you're intruding? And I can't encapsulate the entire thing. So that's why, and there's a transcript if you want to read it. But I feel like they are, well, one thing is, I think this shouldn't come as any surprise, really. I mean, I think it was, coming has probably been worked on for a long time. And I know that he talked about other hosting, and I think they're kind of looking at it as an open book hosting. First of all, I don't think everybody's going to rush to WooCommerce or WordPress.com and get WooCommerce hosting, because other hosts offer it. It's competitive. It's if you're a GoDaddy customer, you're not probably going to move over there. You're going to look at the GoDaddy WooCommerce hosting. So they're kind of putting it as an open book. They're hoping also it will help other hosting companies and help themselves to make that onboarding experience better. So it's like they said, they want to be totally transparent on what they're doing, what they're working towards, and then other hosting companies can say, well, maybe we can do it even better. And that's what they're hoping to encourage other hosting companies to look at it and learn from, because they're probably going to not do everything right the first time, and that it'll kind of how do I want to say, it'll build on each other. Hosting companies can look at this and they can say, okay, well, WooCommerce is doing this, but I bet you we could make it one notch better by doing this. So I don't know. I just think, he really had a lot to say in the podcast. It was really, it made me think a bit more about not only why they're doing it. Of course they're doing it. Yeah. Everybody wants to make money, and, it's inevitable, because look how many hosting companies, Marcus knows, have put in a WooCommerce piece. I mean, I'm getting, they're coming to me left and right all the time telling me. So it's not unusual for them to actually do it, or I think it's going to be squashing them. But, that's time will tell, and I'm just guessing, and I'm not a hosting expert either. So I don't know everything that goes behind what it takes in the marketing and stuff. So
Bob, will you, in the private messaging, will you put me the link to the episode on Do the Woo, and I'll mention it. I'll just share my screen very quickly, because I think this comes to the nub of maybe is this, I don't want to use the words anti-competitive, but nothing else is coming into my head, so I'll say that. And Sarah writes, although WooCommerce may be late to the game in offering managed hosting solutions, the makers of the e-commerce software have a clear advantage with their positioning in the WooCommerce ecosystem and marketplace of more than 800 products. That is quite a thing. Woo Express has launched with a compelling set of commercial extensions. bundled into the hosting plans. That's a link. You can go and you can see what these bundles are like. There's a whole array of different ones, including product add-ons, product bundles, gift cards, minimum, maximum quantities, stock notifications, and a whole load more. So over to Marcus to say, I'm not suggesting that you're going to give us the official GoDaddy position, but what's Marcus's position?
Sure. Well, I mean, first off, a little surprised that they waited this long to launch that sort of an offering, but it completely makes sense that they would. I think when I look at WooExpress and GoDaddy's managed WooCommerce stores and Bluehost's WooCommerce offering, they're really all kind of different flavors of WooCommerce hosting, and that's largely going to be dependent on the plugin, the extensions that are bundled, right? So WooCommerce.com has the marketplace of, like you said, 800 plus. The marketplace is available to anyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyone can go to WooCommerce.com, purchase one of those extensions and put it on their site. So it really comes down to which extensions are bundled and sort of what else is built in. And like for GoDaddy, in our case, right, we have all of the Skyverge extensions because of the Skyverge acquisition, and Bluehost has the Yith extensions because Newfold acquired Yith whatever last year, the year before. And so those are all kind of just different sets of things that you can do with your WooCommerce site, and it's really going to come down to what you're trying to do and how much money you can save on not having to buy those extensions, because the Skyverge extensions are all still available in the marketplace. Yith's extensions are all still available to purchase as well. So the access is still there. It's what are you trying to do with your WooCommerce store, and which is the more financially wise direction, depending on how much you can save by having those already included in your flavor of WooCommerce, I guess.
Yeah. I guess we'll have to see how competitive these bundles are and whether or not you can save a boatload of money and whether the configuration of the bundles works for different scenarios. But yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. The one thing that I think that they're still missing that I assume will be added at some point that I think the Bluehost offering has as well to some degree is the omni-channel selling. And I think that's really one of the strongest pieces for managed WooCommerce stores at GoDaddy, is being able to have WooCommerce be your product and inventory source of truth and sell on places like Amazon and Walmart and Etsy and all of that. And so that seems to still be missing. And that's definitely going to be that next step in selling. Once you have your store running, you're going to have to kind of expand where you sell and really draw on the traffic that places like Amazon and Etsy already have. And like I said, I think a couple of these flavors of WooCommerce have that as well. That one seems to still be absent here. That will have to be added at some point, I imagine.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you, Bob and Marcus. Anything on that, Andrew?
The cynic, the devil's advocate.
Yeah.
One of the reasons they don't have the omni-channel is because they have WooCommerce payments, which they make money. They get a kickback on WooCommerce payments. So that might be a long way in coming, because they wanted to. I wouldn't, if I was the commercial director of WooCommerce, which I'm not. I would wait a little bit on the omni-channel, because I want to make WooCommerce payments my default. It's basically Shopify for WordPress, because it's everything that you need to get started and to continue. You've got your abandoned funnels already built in. You've got your delivery already built in. You've got coupons already built in, etc., etc. So it's effectively WooCommerce playing catch up on Shopify and Squarespace and the Wix e-commerce solution. So because I'm web agnostic generally, I build web. I've got an agency which builds websites in all platforms. Doesn't matter to me which platform you're on. I really don't care. But the WooCommerce, the WooExpress offering is effectively to monetize the Woo payments situation, and also if you own the majority of the plugins required to run an effective e-commerce store from a delivery and a download and a licensing perspective, then you're going to be a winner all the way along. And there's no way that a hosting company can keep up. But also the other devil's advocate bit is that because the hosting companies can't keep up with Woo Express, or won't be able to keep up with Woo Express with their offering, WooCommerce will also be going to the hosting companies and saying, hey, here's a deal for our bundled stuff. So they'll be using Woo Express as almost an anti-sales thing for the hosting companies to go into larger licensing agreements with WooCommerce so that they get all the plugins that their customers would need. That's my cynical perspective.
They do have quite a bit, but a lot of that 800 extension marketplace is third party, and they can't cannibalize the third party extensions. They can only include their own. So they'll still be limited somewhat to the extensions that they've created or acquired.
Just on a slight pivot, towards the bottom of the article, it talks about how this offering is going to be really leveraging blocks and the block editor. So, full site editing, navigation and all that. And it ships with a theme which is called Tsubaki. And everything by the looks of it is going to be done with blocks. I don't know if that paradigm is going to fit with absolutely everybody, especially if you're not familiar with doing it that way. But anyway, there's that. I'll link to the show notes tomorrow. There are articles about the bundles, what's included in the Woo Express. I'm going to really struggle to get that word out my head. It's always going to come out as WooCommerce Express. But it's not, it's Woo Express. And then also there's a link here where you can actually see what's included in all the bundles, and they've all got some sort of rock band type theme attached to them, which Bob tells me is pretty normal. I didn't know that. Alrighty, let us move on. Oh, by the way, there's Bob's episode, April 13th. So hot off the press, building a better WooCommerce hosting ecosystem with Bo Lebens. Is that how you say that? And I will link to that in the show notes tomorrow. Okay, right. Okay, let's move on to this one. This is, Andrew is very much involved with this, as is a surprise fifth guest to our podcast. Let's see if we can catch him unawares. He's in the little booth. Let's see. Come on, let's see if we can grab him. Is he there? Is he there? Is he with us? No, he's not. He's looking the other way. Look, he's look.
Hello there.
Yeah, we're joined by Vito. Vito and Andrew together, I think, on this one. We're going to be talking very quickly about a WordPress event coming up tomorrow, right? It all kicks off tomorrow. I guess that's where you were looking, Vito, on a different screen, trying to organize your event. I'm just going to quickly link to the Atarim post on WP Tavern. That obviously takes you to the Web Agency Summit. It's happening tomorrow from the 25th to the 28th. Who am I going to go to first? Andrew, Vito, you can fight with each other.
He's got more to say about it than me. I'm a mere co-host, which I'm really enjoying it. And I also sponsor Bertha.ai as a sponsor.
Who's a mere?
Amazing sponsor as well, just amazing.
Who is a Mia? Very good. Vito, nice. Thanks for dropping in. Really appreciate it. Tell us about this. It's round 4, right?
Round 4, fourth year in a row, and this is a huge one. There's this year we tried to take things even further. Of course, you can't have the hero section without Andrew's photo. I think we lost about 3,000 attendees.
Oh, nice.
But it was balanced because of Christina. Christina.
Yeah, nice. She gained 3,000. Yeah, good.
This year we have 40 sessions, 4 days in a row. But there's a few new and loads of attendees. We just passed the 8,500 attendee count. And we're hoping to even hit the 10,000 attendees count by tomorrow, 23 hours from right now. Looks like we're on track for this. Now, what we did this year, which was a little different, is we added speakers that are, while there's the standard kind of like agencies from the space or web agency owners that come and share their knowledge. These guys are literally in the trenches, so there's a lot to learn from people that are experiencing things just now and maybe figured out a problem that some of the attendees have just like a couple of months ago, now coming to share some insights and what they learned. So that's one thing. That's what we've done always, and I love that aspect of it. But then we also added panels this year that are that allow us to bring really high caliber folks from all kinds of different companies. So if you stop on this one, for example, there you see we have Josefa, she's the director of WordPress, and we have folks from HubSpot, Web Pros, which is cPanel and Plesk, CloudFest, GoDaddy. We have Ramkus, who is representing WordCamps because he created the first WordCamp in WordCamp Europe, or co-created. Then we have Elaine from XWP and Andre from Google. And we have folks from, on another one, we have, for example, the guy from Microsoft that was in charge of implementing AI into Bing. And he's coming in to talk about how that is going to affect search, how this is going to affect SEO so that agencies can adjust accordingly. And even from, on that Google side, and here I heard you guys talking about Marika and the stuff that she's doing there. So she's going to come and talk about this here as well. So these panels really expanded our ability to bring people that usually wouldn't sit and create like a full-on presentation, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But they do have a lot of knowledge to share with the community, and that allowed us to expand a little bit beyond just the small WordPress community, or at least the people that usually you see in speaking at events, and go outside to bring experts from outside of our space, but that still interact with websites, with agencies, with WordPress, and talk about their involvement in that thing. So you see, we have Fabrice there for Microsoft, Duda as well, one of the major sponsors this year also.
Ben Pines.
And sorry. Ben is coming back with a different hat.
Yeah, that's interesting. So he's working now for WordTune.
Yes, she's
an
an
AI 21 Labs. Interesting. That's good to have him back. So it all kicks off tomorrow. Vito, right. Do we need to pay anything? Do we just show up on the gate and be let in? How does it all work?
Right. So come on in here and sign up. It's completely for free. If you want to get access to all of the content after the event, you can get the backstage pass that gives you this that gives you access to watch everything after if you're gonna miss something, but generally free. Come on in, join. And what we learned also, and I think you might have seen that in your event, Nathan, as well, that early on in COVID days, we were expecting that these online events would be people just are like fully interacting with the feed, very much like we are now, all in this conversation. And we, except for me from before, now I'm not doing anything else, right? But what usually happens is that people do exactly what I did before. They listen with one ear, and they kind of gather a few of these gold nuggets. And it's one of those kind of a podcast that runs for an entire week. Come in, join it in that way. Keep doing your work. Do some creative work on your computer, but let that run in the background. If you need a break, you can come hang out at the lounge. All kinds of awesome stuff there.
Can I just say to Marcus, is James Giroux your brother? I mean, there is a remarkable similarity there, isn't he? He really does. I mean, look, I can see that. Clearly, he's not. I get it, Vito. I totally get it. I think during the COVID times when these events began, I think that was what happened. People were just so desperate for that kind of connection that they did watch it. They gave it their full attention. Yeah. But now there are so many of these kind of events. It's kind of apropos to just have it over there, have it on as another thing. And then when you tune in to that moment that you think, then you can drop the pen and tune in and give it your full attention. Yeah, I totally get that. But if you click that button on the website, if you click the sign in, if you put your first name, email, and click sign in, do you then get into like a sequence of being updated about what's going on when and all of that kind of stuff?
So of course, there's also the agenda that is being published was published just earlier today. But then you get access to the platform just by adding those details, where you can interact. And on top of the sessions, one thing that is pretty cool this year also is we collaborated with Post Status, and they are running the networking lounge. So there are about 27 meetups or mini parties that are scheduled for the upcoming week, run by folks from the community. Bob, I think you're also doing one, right?
Yeah. I think we'll probably do a podcast like we did last year.
I'm doing one as well in between my hosting duties, but I've got to schedule that in with Michelle yet, because we've only just done the schedule, so I didn't know when I was free. But yeah, the networking is a really cool bit, and Bob tends to, I don't know, he just doesn't sleep for the week and just stays.
Just stay there all week. Yeah.
You hear the Bob, the woo, I'm here, and then you come and join me. You hear that for 24/7 for the next 24/4, basically. It's Tuesday through Friday, so it's going to be it's a long day for the co-presenters, which is Vito, me, and Stephanie Hudson as well. We've got we're hosting the panels, and we're also just in the background to help out the presenters if they've got any techie issues. The nice thing we're doing this year for the presenters is that somebody's going to meet them in the green room and just make sure their presentations are there, because with all online things, this yourself, Nathan, running this every week, sometimes there's glitches or an internet connection will go down, or something will happen. So we've got some nice tech support in the background to
previous years. It was like wrapping up a session, jumping to the other stream, finding the person there. It's like, where are you? It's like, okay, we're going live in 1 second. Okay, you ready? Check the screen, check this live. Okay, we're going live.
You've got way more slick with it. And can I just say, nothing ever goes wrong on my show. Not ever.
Really? Yeah.
Vito, thank you very much. Let me just say the URL for that is atarim.io/summit, atarim.io/summit.
Or webagencysummit.com.
Oh, okay. Webagencysummit.com. Which would you prefer? I'll link to it tomorrow.
Yeah. Whichever.
Okay. And can I just say that it looks like you're growing your hair back, but
it's because of
it's the summit. No time for a haircut.
It's better, Nathan. It's better to link to atarim.io/.
We'll do that.
It'll be fine.
Okay. Vito, appreciate it. Get some sleep tonight. I know you're going to be busy, but thanks for hopping on the show today. Really appreciate it. We're going to get back to our regular stuff. Cheers, Vito. Take it easy. Bye. All righty. That was nice. Little surprise.
Oh, thank God we got rid of him. We got a whole week with him.
I'm not saying a word. Right, let's get back to normal business. So we're on to WP Tavern again, Gutenberg 15.6. If you get the Gutenberg plugin, you get all of the kind of beta updates, if you like. There's a couple of nice ones in this one. There is an experimental details block. There is actually already a block that you can download for free called the details summary block, which does an identical job to this. It's good for things like transcripts and things. Essentially, you get a little arrow. You can give the thing a title, and it's like an accordion. You click the button, and whatever's beneath it, it could be a whole stack of different blocks, will be revealed. That's quite cool. There's also now inside the spacer module, it's now going to be fluid. Before, you set it to 1 pixel value, so 50 pixels, and it didn't matter what device you looked at it on, it was always 50 pixels, which would, generally speaking, on desktop, maybe that looked great, but on mobile, that would be a gigantic chunk of your screen. It now accepts that fluid as an option, so it collapses appropriately over different viewports. But probably the most interesting thing to me, what's that?
Just seems like common sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the way it's all going, isn't it? We're getting rid of viewports and media queries and all of that, and moving towards that. But this is the most interesting thing, I think. And I wonder if Ross Wintle is in the comments. Probably not. I haven't seen him. But this is akin to Spotlight on your Mac. I don't know if Windows has an equivalent thing, but on the Mac, you can, with a keyboard shortcut, you can invoke on top of every app this kind of search bar, and you type it in, and it looks everywhere on your Mac for something that matches that query. Well, the idea here is that there'll be something similar in WordPress, and the idea is that it would be available everywhere. So whether you're in the admin, whether you're writing a post, whether you're viewing a post but are logged in, you can click a button, invoke it, and then start searching for any part of your WordPress website, including the ability to add new posts and go to, custom post types and all that kind of stuff. It does look very, very, very similar to what Ross Wintle has done with his Chrome extension, which is also a plugin, I believe, which is called Turbo Admin. Anyway, this is Gutenberg 15.6. I think that feature alone looks pretty cool. Just interrupt me now. I'm done. I'm finished.
No, well, it's WordPress catching up with other systems.
With Ross.
This system for Drupal, Joomla, another Shopify allows you to search. When you want to put in backlinks to your products in a blog post or in a page, that allows you to search for your posts and pages. So yeah, it's like, again, common sense.
Yeah,
there you go.
This one really is common sense, and in a way, you kind of wonder how it's not been done before. You mentioned as a previous,
because it's a big project.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Project.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, I don't agree with people saying, "Oh, it should be in there. It should be." Why didn't they think of that? Because there's a lot to think about.
This strikes me as one of those, what they're going to be called, feature plugins or something. What is it? The ones where they're basically being treated as if they're core, but they're not in core, but they're going to receive the same updates and all of that kind of stuff. This kind of seems like it. Canonical plugin. Yeah. This kind of feels like it's a good thing to go in there. Nomad Skateboarding says he likes the fluid spacer, but he would like to see spacers not used. Yeah, padding, margins. Maybe you're right, especially on the default templates and patterns. I guess for any non-technical users, they need something like that, don't they? Because non-technical users just don't know about CSS, margins, and padding, but they do know that they want some kind of space. So the ability to drop it in with a block is probably semantically not the best, but at least it's some kind of.
It's also page builder land as well. That's where that's come over from page. All the Divi, Elementor, Beaver Builder, all of them had spaces.
Yeah, they did.
Because you generically, or you went into the customizer and set all your spacing so that sometimes the spacing was a bit out of kilter.
Yeah,
so you needed to put a space in there.
Yep.
So that's where that comes from. So it's good. It's a mix of best of both worlds. But I think, again, the cynic in me says Gutenberg's going to be the page builder, the default page builder. It already is. Even when you have a page builder in WordPress and you go to write a post, it comes up with a little pop-up to say use Gutenberg.
Well, right? It's the way. So, you have to decide at that point to use a rival, don't you? You have to launch Beaver Builder or click the Elementor option. Exactly. Looks interesting to me. I don't know if Marcus or Bob have got anything to add to that. We are sort of running out of time, so if you do, go for it.
Yeah, I was going to just say, as long as this seems like something that maybe could use some resources on your site. If you end up not using it, maybe it'd be nice to be able to turn it off. It's got to continuously index your site and make sure it has access to doing any and everything that you might want to do on it. Great for other developers to hook into, to add their own things to the menu. But if you're never going to use it, maybe it's something that you could shut off. Like you said, maybe it's a canonical plugin and it's something you can decide to leave on or turn off if you don't want it using up server resources.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that. But yeah, obviously, if you've written a new post or you've got an editorial team that are doing 20 things a day on it, that is going to somehow have to go spidering around in the background, isn't it? Bob, anything?
Not really. I've been not doing as much with anything inside my site that I don't need to do. Every time I do, I swear anymore. So it's just kind of what it is.
This is more opportunity for swearing.
Yeah. I was playing with spacers the other day on something, and it was like, oh man. Anyway, good stuff.
I can imagine the opportunity to invoke that search thing. Occasionally you'll just get it. Where did that come from? I definitely didn't click command, whatever it is.
The only swear word I've heard Bob say is holy moly.
Holy moly. I've definitely heard him say some more fruity things.
Yeah, fruity.
On a rival show that we have. Yeah. By the way, we figured out that show's acronym the other day is the word ass, which
lovely.
We hadn't actually figured that out. I wrote it, actually typed it out, saying, "Should we do another one of those?" And then looked at what it was like, what the heck? How did that happen? Right, okay, moving swiftly along. Let's we've been talking about ass, and now we're going on to WS Form. Mark Westgard. Oh, I'm never going to get away with that. I'm in such trouble. But it's okay. Don't you worry, because Mark Westgard is approving this message. Mark has done something pretty cool here, actually. And joking aside, right? WS Form, what a great product. We all know him. Yeah. He's a really, really genuinely nice guy, which is why I can poke fun at him, and I know that he's going to take it in good form. But he seems to be on a bit of a clip at the moment. Lots and lots of new things coming out. I have it installed on various sites, and the amount of times I have to click update on that plugin because he's got a new version is remarkable. And he's got this new feature called Google Routing. So you can enable this in the back end, but there's a really great display of it. If you go to wsform.com/knowledge base/Google-root, it's exactly what you'd imagine. You type in two things, a start point and a destination point. So, for example, this week I went with my son. I went from Scarborough in the UK to a place called Carnforth. Let's see if we can find that. In Lancashire. And that's it. I'm done. I don't even have to click return. I've typed in where I begin, where I end, and it will figure out a route. I mean, you can see the route has been calculated via a Google map. There it is. That's the optimal route. But it also gives you a boatload of other data right out the bat. So it gives you the latitude and longitude settings of the start and the end, the distance in kilometers, maybe that's toggleable to miles, I don't know. How long it would take to go in a car, distance, oh yeah, there you go, distance in miles, yards, kilometers, meters. Check this out. How long it takes in seconds to do that journey. Whoa. How long it takes in weeks, months, years, calculation example, how long, an e-commerce example is in there as well. You could figure out the cost of, I don't know, use this for your delivery service or something. How much does it cost to do that journey to get that product delivered to that destination, bearing in mind that our depot is over here?
£1.50.
Yeah, so
I want to see how much it costs at £1.50. Do that.
What's that, sorry?
Cabs run out about £1.50 per mile.
So if I put in, let's put in, it's working in dollars. So if I put in $1.50, whoops, that journey would cost me in a cab, assuming that's correct, $245. But you could see how something like this for your little cab service, I mean, even on the back end, your staff
I'm putting it on my brother's cab service website straight away.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what I'm doing. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. I don't know if it's bundled into a particular package of Mark's offering.
Pro.
No? Pro. Okay, thank you. So you need a Pro account, but there it is, another cool feature. And I know for a fact that he's got a load of other cool things, which I'm not going to mention, but he's got a lot of other nice ideas up his sleeve. So
do you see why I can't stand him?
Yeah, but
do you understand me now?
It's okay, because he approves this message. I'm going to just keep doing that. It's never not funny. Look, every time I do it, it's funny. Look, that's funny. Now it's not funny. Now it's funny again. Now it's not funny. And look, it's just funny every time. Marcus, sorry, I interrupted.
No, it's fine. I feel like I saw someone ask him for this in a Facebook group, maybe in the WS Form Facebook group, and within 24 hours, it was a full-fledged feature.
Yeah, this is how it works, right? So anybody listening to this podcast, come up with some wacky, zany, and preferably really difficult thing for Mark to implement, and go to his contact form and ask.
Really challenge him this time.
Yeah, really challenge him. Maybe something to do with like launching rockets or something like that, something a little bit tricky. Go to his form and say that I sent you, and he'll forever be happy. But anyway, great little product update.
Just awesome.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm going to skip over a couple because we really are running out of time. I was going to mention this plugin called Block Diffusion, which enables you to generate images from text prompts. Oh, come on. Right. Let's put in a text prompt between us. This is the plugin at work, right? It's just show you again. It's on the WordPress repo. I presume you've got to connect an OpenAI API key or something like that, but it's called Block Diffusion. let's come up with
stable diffusion.
Stable diffusion.
Great.
Let's do a man called Mark Westgard eating. What should we have him eating? Eating fruit. Okay, eating fruit. What else?
Near a pile of garbage.
Near a garbage. Your trash can is probably more appropriate, isn't it, over there? Near a trash can. Okay, let's see how long it takes to come up. A man called Mark Westgard. That's not a very good prompt, is it? But let's see what happens. A man called Mark Westgard eating. Okay, here we go. It's done it. There.
I think it's his new profile photo.
There it is. Oh, I'm going to screenshot that and send it to him. That's brilliant. We have a man doing exactly what we asked. He's eating fruit, which apparently is square and white. I don't know what kind of
a parking ticket.
Yeah, he's eating a parking ticket close to a trash can. Well, there's no trash can in sight, but there's definitely a man.
It's right out of frame.
That's
he's so huge. He's hiding it.
This is always the giveaway, isn't it? With Stable Diffusion, how many fingers?
The fingers.
You know,
he's reaching in his pocket there.
Have they?
Midjourney, complete. If you go and have a little play with Midjourney,
okay. Yeah, they've fixed it for
the leader. I mean, you know, they don't have an API, which is frustrating because I'd love to throw Midjourney into Bertha.
Yeah,
they're the best one at the moment.
Images in Bertha as well, but I mean, you know, you've just got to write it's all in the prompt, and that was a crack prompt.
Yeah, it was. We were live on air. I couldn't really think. Give me a better prompt. Let's just do one quickly. Give me the sort of breadth and depth that we need.
So high def.
Oh, hang on. Wait a sec. Let me just open a new tab because I want to keep that one and send it to Mark. Right. Okay. So I have to literally write the word high def. Yeah.
Yeah. High def.
High def. Yeah. Oh, hang on. Let me just clear all that out.
Go over the other two. So high def, handsome man.
Yep.
In coffee shop.
Yep.
With a laptop.
With a laptop. I presume that writing the words high def at the beginning is going to take a little bit of time to sort of compute it. Oh no! Look, that was still pretty quick. Yeah, he's very handsome. He's very handsome.
In an odd sort of way.
Obviously, handsome men wear both.
That's right. Yeah, nothing prejudice in here. Anyway, we got down a bit of a rabbit hole there, didn't we? It is called Block Diffusion, but you can use Andrew's Bertha AI to do all of this goodness as well.
I'm actually just one point is that I love the fact that there are in the last 2-3 weeks over 1,000 AI things that have been developed, you know, and we've got to give a shout out to Aaron, who's from Ugly Robot, and he's done some great things with DocSpot and WordPress and all that kind of stuff, and codebase.co, which is great, and you know, there's some fantastic stuff going out there from AI. But just segueing back to WooCommerce or Woo Express, you know, kind of invading our space as web developers, almost not giving our customers a choice of going to, you know, you go to WooCommerce or you come to us and we build you a WooCommerce thing. We've got a situation where OpenAI have literally opened up a whole new market, but also by giving out GPT-4 for free and chat for free and stuff like that, it has affected, including Bertha.ai, it has affected our revenue. But you know, I know a couple of guys in the space, they've just given up because GPT chat is out there and it's free, and they've just suffered immensely from having a couple of grand a month coming in. They're now literally down to $200 a month, and it's just unsustainable. So we've got to be careful about these companies that have their products and us building layers on them. So what Bertha AI are doing is we're using OpenAI, but we're also giving you a choice to use somebody else, which is maybe an open source one, to keep our costs down and to keep our offering live. Because what I've noticed over the last 8 weeks is that OpenAI literally go down every day. It just goes down. Oh, the API goes down. Just really, because I get notifications because I've got an API. And so to get over that, we're starting to have a little toggle. If this hasn't worked, toggle to this. We'll use a different AI engine for you. So that'll be out in the next.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Keep your eye.
we've got to watch our who we build our layer applications on, and we're all vulnerable to that.
Well, whoever these guys are using, this is clearly exactly what I asked for. I asked for high def, a man shopping online with a banana in his hand and a koala in the other, and I got this, which shows no bananas, no men.
I really wanted to see that too.
No anything, actually. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to submit that one more time, and let's see if we can get something. No, what even is that? That's nothing. What?
Copy that into the private, and I'll put it into Bertha and see what.
Okay, let's see what we get. Okay, yeah, see if you can show us. Right, there's the prompt. And let's move away from this AI madness just for a brief moment and get onto a plugin vulnerability. If you have an old and one might say abandoned plugin called Eval WP, please do get it updated. It is being exploited in the wild. There's more to say about that, but that's all we've got time for. It's called Eval WP. Eval PHP. So get that checked out. Speaking of AI, if you have any concerns about AI and the sort of perhaps the Pandora's closed box in it, where is all the training data coming from? Are the artists getting recognition and so on and so forth? Mozilla, the people behind the Firefox browser, have decided to take a different approach. They're announcing Mozilla AI and putting $30 million up front. I'm sure that to me sounds like a lot of money, but I guess in the AI space, that's probably a drop in the ocean. In the hope of building in the open. So whatever they're doing will be open source and you'll be able to see exactly what it is they're doing. So that's an interesting little thing. What else have we got? We talked about that a little bit last week, so I won't mention it. Quick hat tip to Tim Brugman. He reached out to me on Twitter, completely unrelated to this, and I went to his website and I found a really cool page called The Cheapest Domain Name Registrars, and it just lists in a big table the costs of buying your domains from different companies. I don't know how often he updates it, but if you are in the market for .coms and all of these other different ones, this will show you how much you're typically going to pay, so you can make a choice about which one to get it from. And the last one, this one's directed at Bob, is there's a page on Forbes called Digital Nomads increased 131% from 2019. But before we get onto that, I just want to show you what I think is probably the worst cookie banner that I've ever encountered in my life. So Forbes, shame on you, as if I'm not going to get sued for that. So you know how it works. You go to the page, you get the little pop up, and it says choose options or accept all. I always click choose options and always regret the experience that happens. Watch this one, though. Okay, so here's my options. I'm going to scroll fairly quickly, right? I'm going to just do quite a lot of scrolling. These are all my choices for the different things that I could opt into or opt out of. And I'm still scrolling, I'm still scrolling, I'm still scrolling, I'm still scrolling. That's nuts. That is properly nuts. I don't even know where to begin with this. How do I decline them all? I think they've probably already been all declined, but I don't know. Anyway, let me just make that go away and click accept all, because that's what everybody does, right? Because it's just too much, too much faff, which is such a deceptive design. Digital nomads increased 131% from 2019. Bob, you represent probably 1% of that.
I consider myself a digital immigrant.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
Yeah, I'm not very nomadic these days. But no, it's true. But they're, it's interesting because I was, small world. I was walking back to the complex we live in, and a guy in front of me was wearing a Codable shirt, and I didn't know if he was from Codable. He turned around and said, "Hey, I know you." So it's like,
Marcel.
It's so that is no, it wasn't Marcel, actually. It was somebody else there from.
So wait, hang on a minute. You moved to a completely different part of the world, and you totally got spotted on the street by somebody you didn't know.
Yeah.
And they knew who you were.
Yeah.
So cool.
A celebrity.
And they live in the same complex as we do, which was really interesting. But no, they're I think it's happening, but it's, they're starting to kind of, I've been reading, or we've been seeing that, visa approvals and stuff are stretching out to 6, 7, 8, 9 months now. And so things are slowing down. There's getting backlogged. I'm sure varies from country to country, but some of them are starting to restrict it more and more. So it's good, but there's going to be a point where I don't know really what will happen, but it's true. More and more are doing it. Several people have threatened to follow me here, so.
And one of them was the guy from Codable who is currently looking through your window with a microscope or whatever they call it, telescope, is it? Yeah, I would fully do it if I had the capacity, and there are certain reasons, children, all of that kind of stuff. I think that really appeals to me. I would definitely give it a year, and then see how that goes. I'd love to live out the back of a van or something. I know Alex Standiford. I don't know if you know him. He does. It is Alex, isn't it? I'm getting the right person. Yes. Yeah. He lives out the back of what we would call a big camper van, but in the US, I think you got a different word for it. And I did a podcast episode with him, and man alive, was I jealous at the end of that. I want to be you. But yeah, I think I've got several more years. That's it. I've got nothing else to say. Anybody want to add anything before we finish?
Well, I created that image in Bertha.
Oh, great. How do I get to it?
I created that image in Bertha. I have to...
you have to share your screen. Yeah, you have to share your screen, put it on your screen, and then there's a little icon which looks like underneath us4, there's a little icon which looks like a monitor with an arrow pointing up. And then you have to authorize a tab or something like that, wherever it may be. And we'll wait here. We'll grab a coffee.
You have to put in your bank account number.
Yeah, that's your bank account number. And here it comes. It's so much better.
Much better.
Look at that. It's actually a man with a banana. Look at that arm.
He's shopping online.
Look at that arm of the koala.
Oh, that koala's arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bit freaky.
I want you to send that to me, though, because
my life is complete now. I've seen that, It can just...
But it wasn't a landscape. It wasn't a spatial landscape, was it? Let's be honest.
I feel a new podcast episode coming on video, just typing in random nonsense into something like that and seeing what happens. We got to go. We got to go. I've got a few commitments that I've got to sort out in a few minutes. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for anybody who put a comment in. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Marcus. We'll put it out tomorrow. It'll come out as a podcast episode. I'll include any extra links in the show notes. But now you know how it goes, the humiliating hand wave. Oh, look, nobody's embarrassed these days. It used to be that this was awful and everybody was like, do I have to? No, exactly. We're done. It's all over. Just one last thing before we go. This episode has been approved by Sir Mark Westgard.
Thank goodness, or it wouldn't go out.
It wouldn't go anywhere else. Take it easy. Have a nice week.